Have you ever imagined what would happen if God called your name in the middle of the night, when everything is in absolute silence, not in a crowded service, not in a beautiful moment, but when no one is looking, when you are fragile, tired, almost asleep? Because that's exactly how it all began. The floor was cold, the air heavy, the temple plunged into darkness, interrupted only by the faint flame of a lamp almost going out. Israel was living through one of the darkest periods of its spiritual history, and almost no one noticed. Corruption already seemed normal, sin no longer shocked, and God's silence had become routine. But on that particular night, something invisible moved. Something eternal decided to break the silence. And the most frightening thing is that no one was prepared to hear. I imagine Samuel lying there, too small to understand the weight of what was about to happen. He had no titles, no authority, no voice. He only obeyed. He only served. While Eli's sons desecrated the altar, Samuel cleaned the temple. While leaders were lost, he remained. And perhaps that's what is most troubling. God didn't choose the noisy ones. He chose the available ones. When he heard his name for the first time, his heart must have raced. He stood up quickly, his foot touching the cold ground, his breath short, believing that Eli was calling him. "Here I am," he said. But it wasn't Eli. It was something greater, something that didn't yet have a form, but already carried weight. When the voice called him again, something began to break inside. It wasn't an ordinary call. There was authority. There was presence. There was a fear that couldn't be explained. Samuel ran again and again until Eli understood. The old priest, tired, perhaps defeated by his own history, realized that God was doing something new, not with him, not with his sons, but with a boy. And at that instant, the destiny of Israel changed direction. Eli spoke words that transcend generations. If he calls again, answer. There was no rehearsal, no emotional protection, just surrender. When Samuel said, "Speak," heaven answered, and the answer was not gentle. It was harsh, it was painful, it was true. At that moment when Samuel lay down again, his heart no longer beat at the same rhythm. Every sound in the temple seemed amplified. The distant crackling of the wood, the slight tremor of the flame, his own breath echoing as if the space were alive. He tried to close his eyes, but something inside him remained awake, attentive, as if it were impossible to return to being just a child after having been called in that way. It wasn't fear of the dark. It was the premonition that the darkness was full of something holy, something that observes, that waits, that knows exactly when to speak. When the voice returned, there was no doubt. Samuel did not rise out of habit, nor out of human obedience. He rose because that voice seemed to pull at his soul. It wasn't sound. It was weight. It wasn't volume. It was authority. He understood, without anyone explaining, that he couldn't run away. He couldn't pretend not to hear. He couldn't hide behind innocence. It was a calling that pierced his body and reached its destination. A calling that separates the before from the after, and at that point, running was no longer confusion. It was surrender. Eli, realizing what was happening, silently bore the collapse of everything he had built. There was no revolt, no defense, no excuses, only the bitter awareness that God was raising up another because he had failed to protect what was sacred. The scene is too harsh to be romanticized. An aging leader watching divine favor slip through his fingers and land on someone unlikely. Yet Eli did not try to stop it. He knew that resisting God would only make things worse. And in that silent act of acceptance, he cooperated with something that would change an entire nation. The words Eli spoke to Samuel were not just instruction. They were transfer. They were passing of the baton. If he calls, answer. There was no promise of security, no guarantee that everything would turn out right. There was only the certainty that obedience would cost dearly. Samuel was not emotionally prepared for what he would hear, because God does not prepare to anesthetize, he prepares to sustain. And when the boy finally answered, it wasn't with eloquence, but with total surrender. He didn't say much. He said enough for the heavens to open. God's answer fell like an impossible weight to divide. It wasn't a message of affection, but of responsibility. a truth that demanded immediate maturity. Samuel heard about guilt, about judgment, about irreversible consequences. Each word seemed to mark his memory, engrave his soul, steal his childlike lightness. When the voice ceased, he was no longer the same. That call not only revealed God, it revealed the price of listening to him. And there, on that silent night, without human witnesses, a boy was broken so that Israel could be rebuilt. When Samuel went back to bed that morning, his body was tired, but his mind found no rest. There was something wrong in the air, a heavy feeling that didn't come from the common fear of a child, but from a presence that occupied everything unseen. The silence of the temple ceased to be empty and became dense, almost suffocating. The lamp still burned, but seemed weaker, as if even the light was about to give way to what was to come. Samuel didn't understand, but his heart already knew that night would not end as it began. Something was being ripped from within, as if God were breaking the boy to build the prophet. The next call did not come in haste, nor with explanation. It came with authority, a voice that did not need to shout to be obeyed, a voice that did not ask permission to enter. Samuel felt a chill run down his spine, not from common fear, but from reverence, from smallness before the eternal. It was as if time had stopped, as if the entire temple were holding its breath. He understood at that moment that it was no longer about serving Eli, cleaning the altar, or extinguishing lamps. Something greater was happening, something that could not be undone. God was breaking through the silence to establish a new beginning. Eli, upon realizing this, did not argue. He did not question. He simply accepted. This is deeply painful. A man who spent his life in the temple, who heard stories of God, now needed to admit that the next generation would hear what he would no longer hear. His tired eyes carried regret, perhaps guilt, perhaps the belated awareness of mistakes that could not be corrected. Yet he did what few leaders managed to do. He pointed to God, even knowing that it meant leaving the scene. In that silent gesture, Eli lost everything and at the same time saved Israel. When Samuel finally answered, "Speak," it was not just a phrase. It was a complete surrender. It was the end of innocence and the beginning of responsibility. God did not speak as one comforts a child, but as one entrusts a sentence to a messenger. Each word fell like a stone, heavy, definitive. There were no gentle metaphors, no immediate hope, only raw truth. The truth that judges, that exposes, that separates. Samuel heard everything, and as he listened, the boy disappeared, giving way to someone who could never be the same again. After the voice ceased, the silence returned, but it was no longer the same. Now, the silence screamed. Samuel remained motionless, eyes open, heart racing, trying to understand how he would bear this. The night was not yet over, but he already knew, when the day dawned, Israel would be different. Because when God speaks, even in secret, the invisible structures begin to crumble. And that dawn, without applause, without witnesses, without ceremony, heaven touched earth, and a boy was marked forever. God revealed a judgment that no one wanted to hear, a sentence against the house of Eli, against leaders who failed, against sins ignored for too long. Imagine the weight of this on a child, the fear of dawn, the knot in his stomach, the doubt, how am I going to say this? Prophets are not born ready. They are broken first. Samuel rose that morning differently. The sun rose the same, but the world was no longer the same. He carried a living word, burning inside, impossible to hide. When he finally spoke, something happened in the spirit of Israel. The silence ended. God spoke again, and when God speaks, everything changes. From that day on, Samuel was never just a boy again. Every word that came out of his mouth carried weight. The text says that none fell to the ground. Israel began to recognize there is a prophet among us. But it all began on an ordinary night, in an invisible moment, in a willing heart. This confronts us in an uncomfortable way, because perhaps God still speaks, but we have learned to ignore it. Perhaps the silence is not divine absence, but an excess of human distraction. Perhaps the problem was never God not speaking. Perhaps the problem is that few still say, "Speak." And here is the most disturbing part of this story. God didn't shout. He didn't force. He called by name. He waited for an answer. He respected the silence. The question that remains is not about Samuel. It's about us. If that voice echoed today, in the middle of your emotional night, would you recognize it, or would you confuse it with fear, the past, tiredness? If this touched you, it wasn't by chance. Perhaps this story has crossed centuries to reach exactly you. Comment here if you believe that God still calls people in silence. Subscribe to the channel, but only if you are willing to hear what can change everything.